And okay, so now we're starting. This hangout on air is live. Woo! Okay. Um so I'm broadcasting today. Honestly, could because I miss Journey's stream. Um and so I wonder if some of you feel the same way. I understand he's going to be back. I'm just saying there's a little lull in the weekend, and with everything that's going on as well. Um, yeah. So today I want to discuss something which you see in Journeyman's logo. And it's called art and the human condition. And I wanted to talk about that human condition, which is which is so important to our work. Um, and and I want to say that in some ways, when I was younger, it wasn't always as important, you know. Um, but as I got older, the human condition became more important. And you might ask, well, what is the human condition? Um, and that is the human condition. Unfortunately, starts very broadly. It's everything. It's everything that we experience, but we have a lot of stuff in common. Um, we feel pain, love, hunger, hatred, jealousy, admiration, envy, a desire for security. Um, you know, we have all sorts of bodily functions in common, uh, and that is just those are just the things we have in common. You know, we we're all born, we live, we die. You might think, well, okay, so those are pretty generic things, but they're more. I wouldn't call them generic. I'd call them of the basis of archetypes and of 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 archetypal experiences. Um, and and so and so the this is something that happened, by the way, to both Journey and myself. The older we got, the more the more these experiences meant something, you know. Um, and and so they really started to influence our art. Um, I think at the center of the concern about the human condition um, is 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 not sympathy, but empathy. Like, I've been there before. I've experienced this. Now you might wonder, you know, how how does a how does this woman who's probably about to be just looking at the painting, um, I'm not going to give anything away exactly, but let's just suppose we look at the painting. Have you ever had a hovering orange mask above you as swords hover around you? How is this? How is this a human condition? Yeah. And um and what I see in this painting, what makes it the human condition to me, is that it's a very precarious situation. Um, it's something like it's something like Journey's version of the sword of Damocles, which hung above the ruler, and made it kind of difficult for him. So who hasn't been in a precarious situation, you know? And by the way, who wouldn't want to be as cool as she is in this moment? But is her coolness just a facade? And that is where we start those questions about how people really react to things. That is at the heart of the human condition. It gives us empathy for the characters in our stories and our paintings. And by the way, this is not the only way to be an artist. Clive Barker famously called one of his short story collections The Inhuman Condition. That's from Books of Blood. And when he was writing those short little mean stories, he wasn't concerned about, I don't think he was too concerned about the feelings of his characters or the realism of the characters. Maybe sometimes, but I think of his short story Dread, where a character who kidnaps other people puts them through like mind-bending situations. He causes one guy to snap in a way that is just unbelievable and ridiculous, but it works 100% for that story. Yeah. And if you've read The Hellbound Heart, those characters tend to be a little on the extreme side. It's your first reaction to meeting a half-dead undead lover, finding it's your first reaction to find bodies for him, live bodies, so he can get better, instead of maybe running away and calling an exorcist. So it's not that a focus on the human condition is the only way to do things, but it is what joins Journey and I together as artists. And to think of one of our earlier stories, Emerald Alley, the comic book we self-published, it sold out. That was a story that I wrote basically in imitation of Clive Barker. Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't put on a Clive Barker hat and say, well, I'm going to go and do Clive Barker. But I wrote it as a mean little short story, a mean little horror short story about a witch who turns to blood magic, and in order to escape another witch who is chasing her, and turning to blood magic means sacrificing the guy who's been so nice to her, and it's a bloody sacrifice. And when I wrote that story, I wasn't thinking too much about the human condition. I was thinking there's going to be this cool scene where she skins the guy and takes his skin as her own. She skins herself and she skins him. Okay. And like I said, it's a mean little story, and there's actually a little bit the human condition gets abstracted in that story, because in real life, skinning people ain't easy. Skinning yourself is not easy. Holy moly, I've got my Amazon Kindle just turned on. Give me a second. Okay. That's like the robot condition. Alexa started talking to me. I didn't even know I had her. Okay. So that witch story, as some of the fans on Journey's Twitch stream call it, is a pretty cool story. But people ask us sometimes if we're going to do a sequel, and my answer is, and his answer is, no sequel, and that's because when I ignored the human condition there, and when we both did, when we kind of just shoved that to the side for the most part, only the victim gets a little bit of acknowledgement as being something other than a puppet for the story. I I didn't want to write more stories about, well, here's this awful witch on the run from another awful witch. And here she's going to do more awful things. And, you know, I thought it was good as a one shot. You know, but anyways, it's the stories that have a human condition, that focus on the human condition, which resonate the most with me, and with Journey also. These are the stories that I write, and the stories that I read. So just to give you like another example, if you read the horror short stories of Nathaniel Hawthorne and the more famous ones of Edgar Allan Poe, Poe does not really focus on the human condition. Let's say the Telltale Heart. The madman tormented by the older man's eye, and he's got to kill him because of the eye, and he doesn't want to be thought of as insane, and he's undone because his conscience gets to him, but it's because he hears the beating of the heart. Now that is one of the great short stories. Yeah, but the ones that resonate the most with me are those horror stories that have a more human element to them. You know, so I think of Rappaccini's Daughter by Hawthorne, or even let's go to The Birthmark. You know, that also deals with a supposed deformity. The scientist who wants to undo his wife's birthmark, and in trying to make her more and more perfect, he ends up killing her. And I hope you can see the difference in those two stories, even from that little synopsis. The scientist undoes the birthmark, she gets sicker and sicker, and she dies. Like, you can see, right? You can see the metaphor in that. You can, if you're an English student, you're like, wait, do I have an essay due? You know, I can write about about the way that men control women, and write about that story, the birthmark. But what would you write about in the Telltale Heart? You know, is there a sophisticated theme in that? There isn't. What you would write about would be the technique, which is interesting. But that theme in the birthmark about this scientist trying to use his genius to control his wife, to make her better, all from the goodness of his heart, maybe. There's a lot of there's a lot of sophistication there. There's a lesson there. There's things that can apply to us, you know. And the Telltale Heart, there isn't that, you know. Maybe the old man should have screened his tenants better, you know, because the guy who kills him is his roommate or his tenant or something like that, I guess. And so anyways, I prefer the stories that relate that relate to these things that we all have in common. You know, for example, am I controlling? Are you controlling? Are people trying to control you? Even with the best of intentions, the scientist in the birthmark just wanted his wife to be better, but what else was coiled around his heart, anyways, those questions are the ones that interest me. And so when I go to write, those are the kind of things that I ask myself, and I try to answer. What is going on in the heart of this character? Yeah, and that's that is the kind of stuff that Journey draws as well. Um, and I guess I'll leave you with this. Um, I'm sure Journey is capable of drawing like a cheesecake pinup nude, and who knows, one day he might even do that. But if you take a look at the nudes that he's drawn, um, you know, or the women that he's drawn in general, whether they are happy or sad, uh, you know, attractive in a normal way or not, you know, um, these women that he's drawn have all been real people, like not literally, but they seem real to me, like a story could be told about them. He doesn't objectify them. That is, they are not the objects of his gaze or our gaze. They are the subjects of his paintings, and that is one of the reasons that even when he draws a fully nude character, the painting is about the character. It's not about us gazing at the character. And when the character is the subject of that painting, as opposed to the object, I think that's why we can call what he does art, and why we can call his stream art in the human condition. Even this painting right here, she's looking at us. She is, the painting gazes at us and challenges us to think. So and to feel. All right, so that's it for tonight. And I'm gonna get writing, about this painting. Bye.